receive as they're getting set with their pregame ritual here at this gorgeous stadium that opened in 2016, U.S. Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis.
Here we go, Jim.
Yeah, the Skull chant right up to kickoff, and here we go. Maher puts toe to it, and we're underway with these two teams with winning records, and it's going to be a touchback to begin. Wanwu makes the catch in the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 25, and we take it down to the sidelines to Trace.
Jim, the Vikings are 8-1. They just beat Buffalo. They're at home, and you mentioned it. They're the underdog, and we talked to Kirk Cousins about it, and he said he's not surprised of all the doubters. While they've been winning, they haven't won convincingly. As for head coach Kevin O'Connell, he welcomes those doubters. He said it is a chip on their shoulder. They're using it as motivation all week, and in the end, it will just make this win even sweeter.
We'll see. Cousins has led the Vikings to comeback wins from 10 points down in the fourth each of the last two games, and he begins with the handoff to Dalvin Cook. Right into the arms of Leighton Vander Esch. Well, Cousins, you look at what he's done, 39 consecutive games with a touchdown pass. You had 38. He just moved past by you on that list of all-time top 10s as far as streaks go. You've got the record, by the way, for most consecutive touchdown passes on the road at 41 consecutive road games.
I didn't know I was in this game today. I feel great right now.
You're still in the record books. And here's the give to Cook for another gain of 3. And watch out for this guy, of course, Justin Jefferson, with one of the all-time catches last week on fourth down that kept them in the game in the late going.
Yeah, speaking of records, this is going to be a record breaker for a long time around here. This guy is rare, and we're going to talk about him a lot today. But his vertical speed, strength, body control, tenacity, catch radius, it's everything when I go down the list, Jim. And they move him around. Kevin O'Connell has gotten off to great starts in the first quarter this year. Expected again today.
Here's a third down, though, 3rd and 3. Parsons lined up on the near side, standing up and trying to attack. Cousins, here comes Parsons. Parsons got him from behind, and the ball is out. And the Cowboys recover. It was Parsons coming around his man and getting to him from behind, and Armstrong has the recovery.
Well, just like I said, the Cowboys are going to get off to a great start today.
What you just said, right?
Yeah, the Vikings have really done a great job, and that's rare right there. Darisaw is one of the really, he's a great apps, but the first time today he gets an opportunity, and you see why. That's Parsons at his best.
Parsons, who was absolutely livid after the loss last week against Green Bay, had not had a quarterback pressure the last 2 weeks. On the third play today, he forces the fumble, and here come the Cowboys from the 27 of Minnesota. And Elliott gets to start in the backfield after missing the last couple of games with a hyperextended knee. Pollard sensational in Elliott's absence, so they'll have the dual threat today, but they begin with the veteran at 7 years, and they give it to him. Zeke breaks the tackle and gets down to the 22, and Dak Prescott. They played here now 3 years in a row, the Cowboys, but he missed the games both in 20 and 21 with an ankle and then a calf last year. Andy Dalton played for him in 20. Cooper Rush last year on Halloween, and the Cowboys won both games. But here he is today in Minnesota, trying to do something in a hurry off the Cowboy takeaway from the 23. 2nd and 6. Dumps it down underneath, and Elliott has it. Going to mark him close to the first. I'm going to say it's 3rd and a foot. And there's Pollard. How about the way he has played the last couple of weeks? 2 straight 100-yard performances. And finding the end zone multiple times.
Yeah, he's got over 100 scrimmage yards the last 3 games. 4 rushing touchdowns the last 2. Obviously making it a running back controversy, but really you play 2 running backs.
3rd and a half yard.
Tried to draw him off sides, trying to get the correct play. Handoff inside. Oh, they're all inside. Run it outside.
And hand it off up the middle, and he lunges for the first. Does Zeke Elliott. Ed Donatel is the defensive coordinator for this Minnesota defense. They've had at least 1 takeaway in every game, and this guy creates a lot of problems for the opponent.
Yeah, you're going to see him come off the field, Situationally, I call it, because, you know, they move him around a ton. He's having an unbelievable year. Zadarius Smith, 55. They want to get matchups, so, you know, you don't need him on first down over and over again to use a lot of his energy. Bring him in on third down, key plays. And this has been very opportunistic defense this year, Jim.
Cowboys stay on the ground, Tony, and it's Elliott getting past a line of defenders, and that's 4 consecutive touches for Elliott. 1 pass, 3 rushes, and that was a good one, gain of 7.
Well, this is why I like the yin and yang of it. You know, everyone's like, well, he should start. He should. Well, listen, you're going to get carries, both of you. Every team has 2 guys really that get touches, and if you run the ball well, you ride the hot hand. Parsons obviously has been very explosive, but those inside runs, Zeke's been good at it for a long time.
There's Pollard in the game also, and they flip it to him. And Phillips, the former Buffalo Bill, no gain. It's a little trickery, and they had Zeke out in front trying to throw a block, but no one got a body on number 97 right there.
Well, and he's done a really good job this year. Coming over, like you said, from the Bills. He had 7 pressures. He's really a run stuffer, but he had 7 pressures last week against the Bills. Had one of the more outstanding games for the defensive tackles this year.
3rd and 3, Cowboys inside the 10. C.D. Lamb in a slot to the left. What a game he had last week. Turpin in motion. Back of the end zone. Prescott pass intended for Dalton Schultz. And a Viking got a hand on it. It was Chandon Sullivan in on the coverage of the tight end.
Now this is the one area. This is a pretty well thrown ball. Sullivan gets with a little grab, but really, I think Schultz needed to make that play. Dak with a perfectly thrown ball there, but that's where I think Dallas has been struggling more, you know, than years past on third down, Jim. They're only converting 37% of the time, which is 25th. That's not good enough.
27-yard field goal attempt from Meyer, who has had only 1 attempt the last 3 games. And this one driven through. So the Cowboys collect 3 off the takeaway. Parsons with the strip sack of Cousins, but the Cowboys held to a field goal.
Notorious for getting off to really good starts. He's a great game planner, Jim, and I really think they got a great head coach and a great hire for a long time here.
So another touchback delivered by Maher. During the break, Tony, they put a little clip package. Look at this. I was looking at you, not realizing you were on the screen. I was wondering, what is he doing?
Yeah, you're talking to me, and I'm like, wait a second, why is my face plaster on here? Well, what they did was they showed a game from back in the day, and I got hit 3 or 4 times.
Divisional playoff game.
And I think they were trying to get the crowd excited and boo Cowboys, and I was like, no, I like all teams.
Yeah, so you gave them all a warm smile, and no one booed. 1st and 10. And play action. Cousins down the middle and was trying to hook up with Hawkins. But the flag is out at the 41. What a pickup for the Vikings offense in the trade just a few weeks back by way of Detroit.
Pass interference. Defense number 1. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So Clay Martin and crew presiding over this one. That one called on Kelvin Joseph,
who's been a special teams guy most of the year, Jim, but he got his first real snaps last week when, you know, toward the end of the game, concussion by Anthony Brown, number 3. So he goes in and, you know, he did okay, but he didn't do that great. It didn't help them. And right there, you're seeing he's going to get a lot of snaps now. That's a big focal point because people want to throw away from Diggs.
Cowboys came in with only 1 DPI called on them the entire year. Hard to believe. Joseph has the angle and shoves. Now, the last couple of weeks, they've been shredded on the ground, Tony. So that's been the talk of the week after what Chicago and Green Bay did, both going over 200 yards on the ground against this Dallas defense.
Yeah, and Parsons there played a lot of inside linebacker. You saw him obviously rush the passer on that third down. They move him around. But last week was the most since week 13 last year at inside linebacker. And I feel like they need to figure something out. Right now, the linebackers got to get downhill quicker. And teams are designing runs to get up on the secondary. So the guys on the outside got to tackle a little better.
Here's a 2nd and 8. Jefferson with the catch at the 50. Diggs started on him at the line of scrimmage. And Jefferson went across the middle and found open space. Picked up 14 and a first down.
This is a perfectly thrown ball. Kirk Cousins looks, he sees cover 2, and right here, you see that? He's going to go ahead and spy 33. Keeps his eyes underneath, and Clark has no chance. Really good job by the veteran Kirk Cousins.
3 receivers coming in for Minnesota, including KJ Osborne. First down to Cook. He broke one last week. Oh, and the flag was thrown in the middle of the field. Yeah, he had an 81-yard gallop last week, the longest run in the NFL this season. against Buffalo, and that one was going for 17, but it could be coming
During
back.
the run, holding. Defense number 91. 5 yards will be added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
So keep the 17 and add another 5. And the Vikings putting a little response together to the Cowboys opening field goal.
Now, you'll see right here, 91, he's going to hold the center. Bradbury, as he goes by right there. And because of that, it gives an angle for Van Der Esch to try and get by. But this offensive line, very impressive, Jim. I was shocked when I turned the tape on, just they got some maulers inside.
Here's a first down, empty backfield, and a throw toward the end zone. And Jefferson, look at the coverage. Diggs had on him. A couple of old SEC rivals from Alabama. In the case of Diggs, LSU for Jefferson.
Well, this is a major, decision a coaching staff has to make. Diggs does not travel a ton. Every once in a blue moon. Well, this week he goes in, and I think, and that should have been a penalty.
Yeah, crowd's
he
reacting
wanted Jefferson this week, and he talks to Dan Quinn. So if you're going to go guard him, you got to go guard him everywhere. He plays in the slot, outside on the right, outside on the left, number 3. And so if you're going to do that, that's a lot. We'll see. He did it there, though.
2nd and 10. They go outside to Jefferson. Diggs on him, and he wrestles him down. It'll be 3rd and 6 coming up. Yeah, Jefferson coming off not only that spectacular catch, but 193 yards against the Bills. The numbers, he's going to set the record probably today for the most receiving yards. First 3 years of a career, and he still has, after this one, another 7 games to go in this season.
Jimmy, like we said, record breaker holder. Look at, now he's motioning.
3rd and 6. Rolling out. Cousins waiting for it to unfold, and he finds an open target. It's caught by Adam Thielen.
This is why this offense is so hard to deal with. Jefferson is being used as a decoy. As you see Thielen go up, give a little nudge right there. Cousins going to take a big hit right at the end. But I think about it. Remember, Thielen was the guy for so long. And now you're adding in Hawkinson here.
Yeah.
So you got Cook, you've got Jefferson, you've got Hawkinson. Thielen's, he's like their Robert Woods, right? To Cooper Kupp and that. And he's really good, and he's as healthy as he's been all year, battling that knee and ankle stuff. So I think you're going to see him take off.
Here's the toss. Got it outside. Cook. And he is knocked down. Got away from one tackler, but picks up 7 in the end. Got away from Dante Fowler before Curse ended it with a blow to the shoulder.
Well, look at that right there. You pretend like you're going to hand it off inside, and it freezes the defender Fowler, and Cook gets outside in the perimeter. And this is what I talked about, Jim. Teams are designing runs to make corners tackle, perimeter runs, and that's been the biggest difference. They've got to figure out a way to stop that if you're Dallas.
Cowboys the only team in the league that has not allowed a first quarter touchdown this season. Just 5 field goals, but Vikings on the precipice. 2nd and 3 to the end zone. Oh, and in and out of the hands. TJ Hawkinson should have caught that one. Curse on the coverage. Pass was perfect.
Curse is going to have to fight through multiple guys. It's almost like a fake pick. And this ball reminded me of Dak's earlier to Schultz, where it's almost the same thing. Both of the tight ends should have caught a touchdown on their opening.
9th play of this drive coming up.
Curse, that's the quarterback of this defense. I really like this guy. He came on last year and showed a lot. They got another guy like him this year, Armstrong.
We're talking about all these targets that they have. Don't forget about Osborne as well. He's a touchdown maker. Here's the throw, and Hawkinson got a hit on it, but incomplete, and it will be a field goal attempt. And that Cowboy mark of no field goals, no touchdowns allowed in the first quarter this year. Looks like it's going to be, well, we still got 6 minutes to go, but they're going to escape a threat this time.
Take a look right here. Here's Wilson. This is a disciplined football team. You've got to get outside leverage and cover 1. If not, so, if you're a little slow to get over there, that's an easy touchdown. Well done. Well coached.
Greg Joseph. Cowboys made 1 from 27. This is just 23. Make it 25 yards, I should say. 69 yards in 9 plays, resulting in a field goal of their own. 3-3 in the first. Cowboys and Vikings on CBS. Pittsburgh do this year, which could have been on the list. Edelman in a Super Bowl, and Jefferson last week. I don't know they're going to be good. So what about the immaculate reception?
I was about to say it. Yeah. I was literally about to say, no, Franco Harris in there.
50 years ago. each year, that one. And that one goes all the way through the back of the end zone. But this one last week, there's so many impressive things. First, it was 4th down and forever. And the fact that he had to make play or the game's over. But the strength in his hands at the very end of this, so that it doesn't hit the ground right there with one hand, taking it out of the hands of the defender.
I can't believe he was the 5th receiver drafted that year, and these teams, they messed up. You just called it. He's got strength, body control, all this stuff, Jim. Tenacity. I mean, I'm telling you, you can't help but love this kid. He is exceptional at almost everything.
One of those drafted ahead of him is on the Dallas Cowboys, C.D. Lamb. Here's a completion to Dalton Schultz. C.D. was the 3rd of the 4 receivers that went ahead of him in the first round. The first one that was chosen was Ruggs by the Raiders, and then Jerry Jeudy of the Broncos. Inside the NFL, the show the pros watch is Tuesday, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
But think about all the teams who chose other guys outside. That was a good wide receiver class, but truly, you know, the other teams, you're like, oh, huge misses.
2nd and 7. Here's Pollard's first handle, and he bursts across the 32 before Hunter ends it. So 3rd and 3 coming up for Dallas. They came into the week 3rd in the very loaded NFC East. The Giants losing today to the Lions. If Dallas wins this one, they'd match the Giants with a record, but have them head-to-head at 7 and 3. There's the catch by Gallup, and Drake Rabbit he's still going to the 50-yard line. He didn't want to go down at all. Bynum finally held on long enough. Pickup of 19. Bynum on the coverage too.
Yeah, on the left side, it's really a good job of selling upfield. He's down right there, going against the 2nd-round pick.
They let it go to the 50.
Andrew Booth Jr., that shouldn't be. That should have been down.
Yep. Booth getting to start, the rookie out of Clemson.
Yeah, you know, they traded up to get Booth with the Packers, who chose Watson. But, you know, he's coming into his own. He's still, you know.
They may move this back.
After crew discussion, the runner was down by contact at the 46-yard line. It's still a 1st down.
That's an expedited review. And I think just by the fact that you've mentioned it right there, that can
just get it right.
Changes it by 4 yards back to the 46.
Back to Booth Jr. You know, that's who Mike McCarthy wants to attack, right? Peterson having a really good year, so you want to go with the other guy. Very similar to Diggs on the opposite team, but you know, Booth got benched last week for Shelley.
Yeah, late stages of that game. Here's Pollard. Somehow gets out of traffic and goes all the way to the 36. Looked like they had him a couple of times. Zach Martin gave him enough of a crease to take it for the big gain. Picks up 20.
This is why this guy has to be on the field. Zach Martin obviously creates a hole. Double team blocks. But watch, Jim. Every time this guy gets the ball, you know, it feels electric. It feels like a big play possibility. 6 yards per rush. Obviously leading the NFL with that.
There he goes again. Spinning out of a hit. Look at that. Just what you said. To the 16-yard line and another 20. 18 yards, then 20 yards by Pollard back-to-back. And Zach Martin back-to-back with big blocks.
And you'd think because he's smaller, yards after contact, okay? Down at the bottom, not a ton there, but guess what? He's number 1 in the NFL. Not just the 6 yards per carry, but after contact. Usually that's a bigger guy, someone who's, you know, able to break through arm tackles, Derrick Henry. But you know, he averages over 3.2 yards. Some guys aren't even averaging 3.2 yards a carry. That's after he gets hit.
And as you said, led the league last year in yards per touch and leads it again this year at 6.4 yards. Gallup pulls it down, work in the middle. And then Bynum holds on for the tackle, about 3 yards short of a first. Actually, it'll be 2nd down and 2 coming up. Gallup's 2nd catch on this drive.
Yeah, and that's strong hands right there, Gallup. It's an RPO. You can hand it off. Dak decides to throw it because the edge rusher blitzes.
Gallup missed the game here last year with a calf injury before the ACL at the end of the season. And, of course, missed the first this year, recovering from that. 2nd and 2. Over to Lamb. Able to slip out of the hit. And he's got the 1st down at the 2-yard line. He got away from Booth. Picks up 6.
Well, you see who they're attacking? Booth Jr. right here. And the reason is, you're going to play off, we call it a smoke route. Just stand there. And CD using, you know, one of his rare traits, which is run after catch. He's always had that.
Dak with 6 completions to 5 different players. He's got a first and goal from the Vikings 2. Pollard. And he got 1 out of it. That's it. Says, keep feeding me. He wants that.
Yeah.
He's getting used to
4 touchdowns. You know, he's the only current running back. Like, they have 2 guys, right? The only team, I should say, that have 2 running backs with over 4 touchdowns. And you see the 1-2 punch. And this is where the Vikings have to be better, Jim. They're dead last or second to last in the NFL in the red zone.
And that is Pollard refusing to go down. Dak tried to signal for it. They were not that close.
He reached that ball over for a second, but I don't think he was close enough there. And these are the parts where I like Tony Pollard, but size matters, right? I think he's exceptional. He's good.
Tried to run behind McEwen.
Yeah, he got caved in right there. Good job. As you see on that left side.
Elliott comes in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, this is a guy who has always been exceptional from here.
Here he is. Zeke seeks and scores. Well, that was the 9th Dallas snap in the red zone, and they got it across this time.
If you really had this 1-2 punch, let's pretend Pollard was starting, right? Everyone wants to make a big deal about starting. It's literally like, whoever starts, go ahead. But it's about touches. Zeke's always had that nose for those short yardage. He's able to slither, but also forcefully go downhill and avoid the big hit, contact, and slither in there. But I think if you started Pollard, or you got all the touches, right? And then this is the guy who's the changeup. This could be even more dynamic, maybe, Jim? I don't know.
Decisions to make in the coming off season. Here's Maher's extra point, drilled. Pollard runs for 43 on that drive.
Good problem to have, isn't it, to have these 2?
But Zeke finishes it up from 1 yard away. Elliott with his 5th touchdown of the year.
What do you do, right? You paid a lot for Zeke last time. Was it the right decision? I always think it is.
You can't let Pollard go after what he showed.
You can't let him go. Do you pay a lot again for a running back, which...
That's unusual. You don't load up that much money at that position.
The second time?
Here's the return. Wong Wu tackled near the 20. CBS tonight. Critics agree the new hit show, East New York. It's great network TV starring Amanda Warren and Jimmy Smits. Catch a new East New York tonight after The Equalizer on CBS. Well, here's Cousins' 4th round pick. His head coach was a 3rd round pick by the New England Patriots as a quarterback out of San Diego State. But we got a matchup today of 2 quarterbacks drafted in round 4. Cousins and Prescott.
And they've done an incredible job. Sneakily, Cousins is having an incredible career, Jim.
Yes, he is. As he gives it,
Cook just needs to win. Otherwise, no one cares about your sneaky stats.
Let's get a little sneaky update. JB and Phil have it in New York.
Speaking of sneaky, walking the tightrope here.
He sure does. Joe Burrow throws a screen pass to Samaje Perine. He goes down the sideline. Back to Jim.
All right. Thank you there, Phil. JB, still getting used to those Bengals uniforms on the road. We'll see him in 2 weeks hosting Kansas City. Here's Cousins. What a pass that was out to the 40. Had some heat on it. Thielen pulls it in for the first down.
Yeah, go ahead. Safety's going to shade. Shades to the other side where Jefferson is, and you see Thielen, who I talked about, is about to take off this season because I really think he wasn't truly running, you know, up to what he normally is. These nagging injuries. He's healthy, as healthy as he's been all year, and you're seeing it. I think he's going to have a really good, productive end of the year.
A Minnesota man, raised, went to Minnesota State, Minnesota Viking, and has the record for most games played by a wide receiver for the Vikings, who's only played his career here. There's the give on the last play of the quarter. Cook into the arms of Van Der Esch, and we finished 15 minutes. So Prescott and the Cowboys up 10-3. They had the football twice, got a field goal off a turnover, and back Super Bowl 52, the Philly special. Eagles and Patriots. Both teams have Super Bowl thoughts in their heads as we're into the second half of the season. Patriots will be coming in here and playing, in fact, on Thanksgiving night. We're going to be in Detroit to kick off the day of football, with the Lions hosting with 3 straight victories, taking on the Buffalo Bills. Here's the first play of the second quarter. 2nd and 8. Cook. It's the call again. Parsons saw that one coming, and during the quarter change had a chance to talk to Coach O'Connell.
Coach, you said you wanted to play this one on your terms. What do you have to do to get back to doing that?
Yeah, I think we just continuing to establish the run. We've had some good play pass opportunities. Kirk just hit one right there. I think it's just the balance on offense and making sure we got a plan when we do drop back of protecting those edges and trying to attack coverage.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm very comfortable with the microphone. We'll tell you more about that in a minute, but just 37 years young, was the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl champ Rams last year under Sean McVay. Come on, starting 8-1. Here's the 3rd and 3, and he would have liked to have seen something better than this result, but the Cowboys have the sack with Armstrong.
And you see what I referenced earlier. Cowboys, incredible when teams are trying to throw the football. And Armstrong, who's been that sneaky, under-the-radar kind of a guy coming into this year, who's taken off like Kirst did last year. He's athletic. He had 7 quarterback hits, 5 sacks. Now he's going to get 6, it looks like. And that's against a guy, like I said, you know, in his second year, Darisaw, the first rounder, who's really good. He does not give up a lot of pressures. He had his first penalty last week, and they're disrupting him.
First punt of the game, Ryan Wright. That's 2 sacks, Tony, for the Cowboys, who lead the NFL now with 37. It's Turpin.
That's why you got to run the football against them. The teams who are able to do it have some success. If you're going to drop back consistently, Cowboys right now taking advantage of getting off on 3rd down, 10-3 in Minneapolis.
From the studio that brought you Encanto and Big Hero 6.
Our mission.
To that.
Well, I tell you what, he was about to be right up here with you.
Oh, look at Prescott walked right into what looked like a sack and somehow escaped. And is able to save the sack and pick up 2 yards. That was Zadarius Smith, of all people, who had him. In fact, Prescott made a turn right into him. It was all but over.
Yeah, right here at this point, the ball's got to come out, right? Throw it away, but Dak does a great job using his legs and makes it not a negative play. They actually gain a yard, but Smith did an incredible job of using his hands and wiping. Boy, that was a risky play.
I wonder what O'Connell would have said in the booth about that one.
Sack him.
2nd and 9. There's a completion to Noah Brown. It's going to be 2 yards short of the first. 3rd and 2 on the way.
Who are they picking on, Jim? The left side over and over again.
Keeps going into the direction of Andrew Booth Jr.
And that's why last week Shelley came in. And by the way, I don't know that they win that game. When Shelley came in and his first play playing for this team, he broke up a Dawson Knox pass in the end zone, and the next play Peterson gets an interception.
Yep. Here's the 3rd down handoff. Pollard gets the tough yardage up the middle. So they asked him to do the tough work, and he responds with a pickup of 5, moves the chains.
Yeah, tough work it is. And by the way, I like Booth. I think he's going to have a good career. He's just young, right? 2nd rounder. He's tough physical, but I want him to be more aggressive. Right now he plays a little, you know, this defense plays bend but don't break. And that's why you see the ball consistently going underneath, right in front of people, and hand the ball off. And then once they get tight, down here at the bottom, and guess who's over there now? That is Patrick Peterson.
Peterson on Lamb, who has 1 catch for 6 yards. Look at the opening up the middle, and that's Zeke. Picking up 8 and showing a burst.
Right here, just a displacement at the offensive line. Wow, Terrence Steele, who's actually our under-the-radar guy, 78, took his guy all the way across the field, Jim, and that's way too much room to give up by all the help defensive linemen.
2nd and 2. Jalen Tolbert, bottom of the screen, wide receiver in for the Cowboys. In place of Gallup. Lamb at the top. They're going to go ground again, and Elliott got halfway there. Ball came out at the end.
Oh, is this a fumble?
Minnesota believes it's their football.
Well, he has the ball, but who has it? Tie goes to the runner, Jim.
Side judge
Unless
already put
I'm one of the 2 with it, then depends. I think he was down anyway on this play.
Phillips looking to the sideline. Was he down anyway?
Yeah, he's down. Once your bottom touches the ground, you're down. Close though.
Now it's 4 out of 5 on 3rd down. 1 yard to go. And he falls forward. The pile driven across. Got some help by Theodish, some of the linemen. Under the radar, you mentioned it with Terrence Steele. Yeah.
They get this guy. This was a question mark, but he's turned into one of the best run blockers in the league. And next to Zach Martin, these two have been mauling teams. You see the explosiveness, the size, and just, you know, and Zach Martin, you see him run that direction a ton on big downs.
Reaction fake to Pollard on first down. And the throw to an open Schultz as the flag comes out in the secondary.
Well, this is just a really good route by Schultz coming across the field. Probably going to be a hold.
Picked up 12 on the completion.
Minnesota.
With the quarterback in the pocket, illegal contact. Defense number 23. Penalties declined. Result of the play is the first down.
Second catch. That's called on Booth Jr.
Now,
second catch for 15 for Schultz.
Yeah, and Booth Jr. with a penalty. This is why, Jim, right there. He's getting targeted a ton. And see how soft he is up top of your screen? That's really soft. Peterson trusts here. Even if you're going to bail, at least make the quarterback think that you're going to possibly be down there.
On first down, it's Pollard running out of real estate on that side. Hunter was there. And Booth Jr. comes flying in as well. Update time again. JP and Phil, what do we have?
Longest offensive touchdown of the season for the Steelers. 19-yard touchdown run by Najee Harris. You can't run over him. Go over the top. That's what he does. Finds a way to get in the end zone. Pittsburgh 10, Cincinnati 10. Back to Jim, Tony, and Tracy.
That's a stunning stat right there. The longest offensive touchdown of the year, 19 yards. Harris, who has not had a 20-yard run this year, but he showed life last week with 99 on the ground and looked good on that one. There's a 2nd and 9. Pollard. Oh, Harrison Smith comes up.
Wow. That was a great run. I mean, I know it's non-script and it's only for 30 yards, but this was like a Madden juke in the backfield and everyone stays, and then all of a sudden, watch this first move right here. He goes, everyone stays, then he gets outside with leverage and then squirts right in between you.
Dak is 8 out of 9. His only incompletion was the one to Schultz in the end zone.
Yeah, 5 for 6 today on third down. Huge difference. You know, that's why right now they're executing and staying in phase. So far this year, 25th. They got to get better. So far today they have.
First time they had third down outside of 3 yards to go. And the clock got down to 0. Prescott, though, keeps it. They say the snap was in time, and he's got the first down.
Dallas gets away with the delay of game. Clock hit 0, but this is interesting. Watch Dak fake the handoff and run. And you're going to see it's an RPO. Oh, his foot, you see right there. That's solid tackle there by Booth. But good job. That he could have handed that ball off or thrown it. It was a mistake by the receiver, so he took off and ran. That's why it looked weird.
It did look a little awkward.
Yep.
First down, though, as Kendrick's one of those who wrote him down.
Well, this is the Vikings in general, though, isn't it, Jim? Like, get behind.
Yeah, this 7-game win streak, every one of them, they've won by 1-score margins, and every one of them they've come from behind.
Offense. Number 88 went in motion when the left guard was going down into his stance, and he never reset. 5-yard penalty. First down.
See it at the top.
It'll be right here. And I think it's, yeah, it was the left tackle there. Tyler Smith, the young guy who's playing well. By the way, we talk about it. The Vikings have the 2nd worst point differential of any 8-1 team in history.
Isn't that amazing?
At plus 30. The 76 Raiders were plus 11. And by the way, that team actually went on to finish 13-1 and win the Super Bowl, though, against the Vikings. The Steelers did that year.
That was a handoff to Pollard. He's met in the backfield by Patrick Jones.
So you get resilient, right, when you're able to do this. It looks like, are you for real? Well, if you're 8-1, you're for real. You can't do this. Is the National Football League. It's hard. And you see Patrick Jones come in. Does a great job. They have a couple guys. They play a lot of guys, Jim. 91 and 98 come in. Sometimes they split Hunter and Smith, the top guys. But they rotate through a lot, and that's their strength of their team.
It's 2nd and 17. That was the first negative play for the Cowboys in the game, as Elliott gets it down into field goal range to the 34. Now, Tony, they've had the football for 7.5 minutes, but they've only advanced it. They'll mark it at the 35-yard line. So plodding along a half a quarter, and they're still 35 yards out, 3rd and 12.
Yeah, and that's why You know, the Vikings know they're not great on the back end. Peterson's doing great. He's having one of his best seasons, but they want to play bend but don't break. Dak gets up.
Here he is on 3rd and 12 from the pocket. Diving attempt incomplete for Gallup.
And there's Booth Jr. coming in at the end. Played really good coverage on this play. Ball's low and away. Really, the only spot he could have thrown it for Dak, but
it's going to be a 53-yard attempt. Maher on the year is 16 out of 15. His 2 misses both came from 59 yards out. So it's been a superb year. Maher will have this from 53.
Tracy said he hit a 62-yarder in pregame, Jim.
No surprise, never missed from outside 60 in his career. 3 for 3, and this from 53 with plenty of room to spare. Puts the Cowboys up 10. That is a drive that took 7:54 and managed just a field goal after that. Football program and the tragedy there this week. Hearts with everybody there in Charlottesville and families as well. Well, this game going about the way you expected it, Tony, so far?
A little bit. I mean, this is literally how the Vikings play. I mean, like we talked about earlier, they give up, you know, the most total yards allowed by a team 8-1 or better.
Coach, we thank you for your service.
So the last 2 teams who are 8-1 or better, Jim, this would be a good one for you.
See what happens here on 1st and 10. Madison was the running back. Cousins in trouble, able to heave it. Jump ball for it. Oh, and Hawkinson reaches up. And they say,
ooh, out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Anthony Brown was there to shove him out.
Reminded you throwing it up a little bit, and that's where
his second foot is not close.
Nope. Kirk Cousins is doing that more this year, right? Kevin O'Connell's opened him up to throw that ball up, and his receivers been coming down, but not there.
Would have been 29. Okay, 8-1. Go for it.
Oh, well, the 2018 Chiefs, right? 427 yards a game. This year's Vikings, 381. The 2011 Packers, 384. That's a lot of yards to give up for a team this good. But those two were 2 unbelievable offenses, right? The 18 Chiefs and the 11 Packers. So that's where it's concerning. Do they have the firepower? Yes, but they need to perform and score better than they are today to offset it.
That's Madison with the carry. 3rd and 8 on the way, and we're on the way back down to the sideline. Tracy?
Jim, you see Blake Brandel in there at left tackle. That's because Christian Darrisaw is currently in the locker room being evaluated for a concussion. It's worth noting Darrisaw suffered a concussion last week at Buffalo and was cleared to return.
Okay, thank you for that. So you see Brandel, we'll keep an eye on that. But this is familiar territory, Tony, for the Vikings, down double digits. Coming back from those big each of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but today you're going against the 3rd best passing defense, and they sacked the quarterback more than anyone, and you lost your left tackle right now, Jim.
It's grim. 3rd and 8. Parsons was coming in, and Cousins had to unload it. Parsons lined up as the middle linebacker, and he just went right up the middle and wrecked the play.
That's what's happened so far in this game. Cousins under a lot of pressure, especially on 3rd down. Parsons just runs right through the middle. Parsons on record pace, Jim, with everything, right? His start to his career, it's incredible.
Here's Wright to punt for the 2nd time. A sizable punter at 6'3", 245. He was a high school quarterback out in the East Bay area of California. And that kick only travels to the 40, where Turpin makes the fair catch. Just a 32-yard punt. Cowboys up 10. Excellent starting point coming up. 4.5 to go in the first half. Preseason game 1961 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Here come the Cowboys, and they've just dominated this game as far as time of possession. 16.5 minutes to 9. They're 2nd worst in the league in time of possession, but not today, as Prescott with the good fake. Peterson's there on the sideline, and contact made near the 45.
Well, they've been rushing the ball well today, but really I think one of the benefits of having Cooper rush, right, was that they really found their identity and started to run the football and get really efficient at it. And you see it's paying dividends, obviously today, but the last few weeks as well since Dak has been back. And I think that's really going to help them late in the year, Jim. The NFC East, you're going up there playing in a lot of cold games. Cooper Rush did an exceptional job when he came in, and there's Kellen Moore, who's kind of found the identity of this team, and that's why they're running on all cylinders.
And they're running for 95 yards on the ground so far. That's a completion to the rookie tight end Ferguson. And he's going to have a 3rd and 2 coming up. Ferguson, the 4th-round pick out of Wisconsin, and the grandson of Barry Alvarez.
Oh, great legendary coach up there. By the way, Ferguson and Hendershot, 87, 89, getting a lot more time. Obviously, Schultz, he's been a little banged up this year with injuries, but I think I like these 2 young guys, too. They're going to be good.
Alvarez, the former legendary coach and athletic director for the Badgers. Here's 3rd and 3. Easily picking up the first down. Look at the way the line dominated that play, Tony.
This is where they're just, what we talked about. They had so many times where they get to play together. You see that double? These combo blocks are everything, and this takes time. Watch. Over here, the left side of the line, those 2. Or sorry, the center and the guard. See that combo block, those 2? Sometimes you have to go off and get a linebacker. Sometimes you stay together. It takes a ton of time to be able to know what the other guy's going to do and do it really well.
It's Dallas over 100 on the ground with 58 of it by Pollard. And Lamb has 7 on that catch across the middle. Well, we've got the Verizon halftime report coming up with JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores and highlights. The review of the 1 o'clock games, including the Eagles' 10-point comeback at Indianapolis to win by 1. Of course, the Eagles, the only team to defeat Minnesota this year. That was in week 2.
And that's why Minnesotans thought such a big game last week, right? Because it's like you're not for real because you lost to Philly, the only great team you really played, right? Well, then you beat Buffalo, and now you got another shot today.
A little stumble there for Elliott on the exchange. And that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. Dallas driving.
Low death right now for the Vikings. But, like we've said, can't call them the cardiac kids, but
that's right.
Getting close.
They've been in this position many times before, the Vikings. Here's a 3rd and 1 coming out of the 2-minute warning. Cowboys again, too, isn't it?
Yeah, just the size and the combo blocks that we talk about. They usually just go straight ahead into someone, and usually at the end of it, something good happens.
Timeout called by the Vikings. Yards with Elliott. 4th straight week as we got another timeout called by the Vikings. 4th consecutive game. Dallas going against an NFC North opponent. They beat Detroit and Chicago, then lost to Green Bay, but just a quirky thing in the schedule. They get 4 in a row against another division. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. Again, JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Cowher. Scores and highlights coming up, plus an update on that Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game on the Verizon halftime report.
That'll be a good little halftime with the crew right there. Always having a good time. A lot of football knowledge. Those football junkies right there.
Yep.
How about Coach McCarthy, by the way? He's done an excellent job just navigating this team. I mean, you forget sometimes the season's over, right? Cooper Rush is in.
That's what they said.
They're right here.
That was, we were there week 2. People already ready to say it was over. What a job Rush did. Cowboys complete it to Pollard. In a sprint. Pollard. Touchdown, Dallas. Dalton Schultz threw the block that sprung him for 30 yards. And the Cowboys an extra point away from 20-3 up top.
He's going to come out this way. Watch Schultz, 86 right here. He's going to go up and make the block that basically, look at that downfield, just continuing to keep leverage and open up a huge hole. That's team effort. Wow, that's a huge play right here.
And Dak has his 150th career regular season touchdown pass. Maher's extra point. It is good. As McCarthy goes for his 150th regular season win today. Pollard, he wasn't touched in a sprint to the end zone. Prescott, 11 out of 13 for 97 yards. And the touchdown to Tony Pollard. There it is, 150 in the 150 club. Mike McCarthy can join as far as regular season wins at the end of the day. He was the visiting coach in the first game ever here at US Bank Stadium on the Green Bay sideline back in 2016, week 1. This place opened. This is a very, I believe, nationally underrated stadium. When people talk about SoFi and AT&T, which are brilliant, this one's as good as any place you'll ever see. Maybe the best. By the way, Thursday at 12:30 Eastern on CBS, the Bills take on the Lions. The 83rd annual Thanksgiving Day Classic. Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter Bebe Rexha headlines the Thanksgiving halftime show presented by Verizon. It's coming up Thursday right here on CBS, and we can't wait to get there. It's going to be a good one, Tony. Got the Bills playing a second game in Detroit in a span of 5 days. Taking on the Lions that are coming in, winning 3 straight games. Look forward to being there.
Very impressive what Dan Campbell's done. And yes, Thanksgiving with Nats.
Yeah. With Romo, I'm looking forward to it. Parsons
let him go. Like, truly let him. He had the quarterback sacked. He didn't know how the ball. This is very lucky and fortunate for Kirk Cousins not to get a strip sack. But watch this, Jim. Parsons comes in, and Cousins has such an aggressive. He thinks the ball is gone. He's like, oh. It's such a late Tiger Woods type of hold.
Parsons is looking, where did the ball go? Still in his hands.
Yeah.
By the way, very quiet first half for Justin Jefferson, Tone.
Yeah, right now he's only got 2 catches, and that's tied for season low in the first half. I think that'll get going, but you got to give Dan Quinn and the defense credit. They did the same thing last year, held him with 2 catches here.
2 for 18 for Jefferson, coming off of 193 and 10 receptions. 2nd and 10. Cousins, good pass. There he is, right on cue. Got away from Diggs.
And this is a great throw.
Goes for 15.
Staring down. And Jefferson, that's where he gets people off with leverage. Fowler comes storming in. And Cousins having to throw under duress. This pass rush is really getting to him right now.
On first down, set up a screen. Hockenson waited, looked around. Now taking on challengers. And he's down at the 46.
Yeah, you're going to stay and hurry up. It's 2 minutes. You got 1 timeout, so you're not being too crazy aggressive. You know they're going to rush the passer. So a good call with a screen. Probably should have had more yards than that, but.
Here's a 2nd and 4. And that's a catch for Osborne. And the first down stops the clock at 1:05.
Yeah, this was a communication error right here. 26 on the defense. Bland, who plays slot, didn't have outside leverage. Cousins takes advantage of it, but that's why the hurry up helps so much, Jim. You can get up, snap a ball before the communication on defense knows the responsibility every time.
Will the Cowboys get pressure on Cousins? It seems like they're it's there if they want it. They've already got 2 sacks, which gives them now 11 straight games with at least 2 sacks.
Are they going to leave him one-on-one up there? No, safety's coming over, Jim.
False start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the first penalty of the game on Minnesota.
I think it's really over here. They're going to go ahead and say it's him, but Hockenson jumped a little earlier. I think they both went.
Well, there was a little bit of a wiggle on Brandel as he's thinking about the fact Parsons is lined up across him. 1st and 15. There's such a force. And a timeout called. A timeout called by Minnesota. That was their last timeout, back in 30 after this from Progressive.
Hey, sweetie, I'm not seeing the life jackets.
Well, you should. You packed them.
No, you packed them.
No, you packed them. You said I won't forget to pack the life jackets.
I won't forget to pack the life jacket. I'm sorry, I have to challenge that.
Well, you do have one left, so.
This What Really Happened replay is brought to you by Progressive. One thing no one would challenge, protecting your home and auto with Progressive.
You know, my favorite part was when you said, obviously, I won't forget to bring the life jackets.
Micah Parsons with his 2nd sack of the game.
This is what they're doing incredible. See this? This is man-to-man. They're trying to get, it's man-to-man, right? He comes in, he's guarding him man. Dan Quinn then jumps out of there, and they run out to cover 2, and that's hurt Cousins a bunch today.
2nd and 23. Parsons breathing on him. And Armstrong was there also. They're getting whipped at the line of scrimmage.
Well, this is what happens when you lose your stud left tackle. There's all of a sudden things are starting to cave in quickly, and that's why having the man-to-man and switch to zone, it's really hard to do that. And when you can do that, and all of a sudden the quarterback holds the ball that extra second, now you get sacks.
I'll give you a good one. That was a Minnesota timeout a moment ago, which now you got a conundrum here. You got 46 seconds to go. You got 3rd and 23. Cowboys have all their timeouts. They're going to leave them a chance, barring another Jefferson catch for a first down. And the Cowboys also get the second half kick.
You're right.
And there could be a lot could happen right here.
Yeah, this will be a check down. Oh, that's the worst case if you.
It's picked up by Hockenson, who thought it might have been a fumble. It wasn't. It was an incompletion. Is this time Odigizua was the putting on the pressure.
To your point, that was the worst thing if you're Minnesota. Great for Dallas. If you're a Dallas fan, check it down to the right side, right there. Hockenson, just throw it. He's waiting. And at the end, it's incomplete, so they don't have to use a timeout, and you don't get, that is a throw, and you don't get the extra 10, 12, 15 yards of field position to back them up. So now they're likely to be more aggressive in coverage.
Yeah, Cowboys have some chance to do something here before the intermission. 17 points down, matching their largest deficit at any point this season. Turpin tiptoes out about the 14-yard line.
That's a big punt right there, because now it's questionable, right? Do you want to be aggressive? You're up 20-3. Most teams right here would come out and say, let's go ahead and take it to the half. We're up 17. You know, you get the ball, right? Minnesota started with the ball.
Boston wanted the football.
You feel comfortable right here. 20-3, come back out. Or you run a screen, a handoff, see if you can get some yards, something really safe. And if you get a first down on this, then you're aggressive.
Fascinating stat you just saw. Since the start of last season, Dallas 14-0 when leading at halftime. 14-0 and 4-9 in all the other games. There's what you wanted. Wide receiver screen with Lamb.
I'd get up and do it again.
They call timeout though quickly. That took 6 seconds.
I like it. You know, it's aggressive. You know, if you're the defense right here, I would be very aggressive. Like, I mean, everyone but like the corners, people get up, press, make them throw go routes. Make them see if they want to be aggressive. Pressure the quarterback. Because you're like, teams are not going to be really aggressive right here for a sack, an interception, right? They're not going to hold the ball for 7 steps. You know, it's a go route, which you know. You press them and then you bail, and you don't give up these screens and make them have to be more aggressive than they want to be and try and create a turnover.
26 seconds, ball at the Cowboy 20. Those Cowboy faithful are saying no lead is too safe after last week. So why don't we just go ahead and add some points, they're saying. Prescott gets it to Pollard. To the sideline right at the first down marker with 20 seconds.
And that's what the quarterback is thinking. I'm going to pretend and then just check it down. You could tell even before the body language is there. There's a good job by Dak and Pollard, but Minnesota's get a little closer, make them be aggressive, because now, you know, they're in a position really with 2 timeouts. They can still get a field goal here, Jim. They just need 1 play over 10 yards in the next 2.
Of course, they could also go for the 1975 Hail Mary play that happened at Metropolitan Stadium. I know you know all about that, Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson watching today. Here's pass to Schultz, and he's out of bounds with 13 seconds to go.
Yeah, this is a good job by Minnesota the last 2. Now, if Dallas is just going to check it down, don't be aggressive, right? There's not enough time left. So that was actually a good decision there. Play soft. Keep them in bounds, though, would be ideal. Dallas has to be aggressive on this one. Otherwise, you're literally just going to run the ball and take it to halftime.
And Donatel, this is his 4th time as a defensive coordinator during the course of his career. Atlanta, Green Bay, Denver last year. Brought into the league by Pete Carroll. Great admiration for Coach Carroll and his way with players. Same kind of thing from Ed. Here's a 2nd and 4. On the sideline. Oh, wow. What a catch. The feet are down. Lamb has it with 5 seconds to go. Look at this.
I think that's what a throw. Good job by Lamb. And here comes field goal.
Remember we dispensed that little nugget. He's never missed from 60. He might have a chance 3 for 3 in his career from 60 plus.
I'm going to show you after this kick. That play, Coach McCarthy beat the Cowboys in 2016 in the playoff. Aaron Rodgers rolled to the left in Dallas and got that 30 yards on the sideline just like that. They ran the same thing, but to the right with Dak Prescott there. And that's a Mike McCarthy play he brought over. Aggressive call, but it's not because you're protecting him really well and rolling him out. What a call.
Timeout called by the Cowboys. And McCarthy with a chance to add 3 more.
Okay, go ahead and watch right here, these linemen. 63 runs out. You see that? That's the center. He runs all the way over there. And his job is to let people roll in. Everyone rush inside. The quarterback rolls right. And Lamb is supposed to run up 30 yards and stand on the sideline. And literally, it's perfectly executed. And that's why you don't give up those short passes right away, Jim, and let him get a chance to do that.
Okay, they didn't really review it to see if that ball was a clean catch or if he had control underneath the body. But you got Maher out from 60 to close the half. Maher, it hooks, it's good. It's got a hook. And it did! Just in time. 4 for 4 in his career from 60 and beyond. And the Cowboys start back at their own 14 and figure out a way to add on 3 more in a dominant first half.
I can't believe that got there. At the end, I thought it was going to barely hit the crossbar. That's why I was wondering if you wanted. Oh, that was in by a lot. Our angle. That was terrible by me. That was in by 5 yards. It looked like it barely covered.
Oh, wait a minute.
Are they saying there's a second left? Oh, the replay stopped it, maybe, Jim, for the previous play?
Said prior to the snap.
They may have stopped before the kick.
You know,
he's going to have to kick it again at worst. I'm saying
that should have been called upon far earlier.
Well, you said it right before.
Yeah, I know. I'm afraid somebody might have been listening. No, did he have
possession? It's a great point. Oh,
see right there. That's what I saw.
Like a drop.
Yeah.
It looks like it might not be a catch.
I thought.
Wow, you were right.
The ball hit the ground when I saw it from here.
The feet are in, so if he has possession at any point, the feet never come off.
The feet was brilliant execution. Let's bring in Gene Steratore and see what he's looking at right now. Gene.
Really tight, and I agree with you guys. I think when CeeDee Lamb starts to fall, if you look, both hands are kind of on top of the football. So when he's coming down, I don't think that he has hands underneath. So if that's the case, and now the ground making that reception, really tight play though, guys.
Well, I see what you're talking about. The hands are on top of the football.
Yeah, like there's never a possession though right there, Gene, right? It's like, okay, if you're underneath and you're holding, it's okay. But it's like he didn't ever get it to where it was like stuck to the glove for a second, right?
Right, it looked like he shifted his hands underneath it pretty quickly right there. That one was more of a convincing argument for a catch. But no matter
to your
what
point, Tony, I think when you say when he sticks it right away, and now we're starting to bring it back down. Now the movement plays in a different kind of a category as opposed to we've got movement almost immediately, and now if the ground is involved at all, then that kind of elevates the ground in that process, though.
And you know, the other part is you can tell the body language.
After review,
right?
the ruling on the field does stand as call of a completed pass.
Wow. But still got to make a 60-yard.
Yeah, got to ask Maher to do it again. So the catch holds up, but the field goal doesn't. It never happened, in essence.
I can understand the call, right? It looked to me like it wasn't fully, and like Gene said, but the truth is, it's hard to overturn something like that without true visual evidence.
So Brett Maher, just go do it again.
You already said he never misses from 60 plus.
I've said it probably 5 times, so it's beyond the statute of limitations for the announcer's cheeks.
I think you get credit.
I want credit for the one that was made.
Yeah, this one's on me.
Yeah, this is on you. It's all on you.
And Kevin O'Connell doing a good job of freezing Maher right now.
It's a step outside of the stadium if you want to do that.
Nice in the kick. I mean, if he makes this again, wow.
Is he going to make it?
He made his 53-yarder earlier. He made a 60-yarder a minute ago.
Come on, Romo Stradamus.
I don't think he makes this one.
Okay. Didn't bother him a bit.
Didn't bother him at all. I told you he never misses over 60. Because if I said he'll miss, I knew the jinx would go the other way. Didn't make it. That's why you got to say whatever you think is not going to happen. What a kick. This is unbelievable. This is
only better.
I mean, that was even better than the one before.
Oh, look how much room there was to spare with that one.
They got a special kicker right there. What a half by the Cowboys. Dak Prescott fired up, coming into the 8-1 Vikings.
Vikings' largest deficit of the season. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon. They ran 41 plays in that first half. Only one got stopped behind a line of scrimmage. And Tracy caught up earlier.
Coach, an interesting end to the half, making both of those field goals, but you get the ball to start the second half. What do you need to continue to do to finish this game?
Well, the biggest thing is we just got to, do the little things. I mean, I think we're doing a much better job, especially on third down, heavy run. But, obviously we're going to see some different things from them in the second half. But we just got to keep the pace that we got going right now.
Some criticism of their defense going into this game. How about the pressure they've been able to get on Kirk Cousins in this first half?
Yeah, definitely. I think as a whole, even starting with our defense, we're playing our kind of football.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, yes, it's doomsday-esque in that first half, that Dallas defense, as Elliott comes off the field, 36 yards down for Elliott.
They haven't shored up, right? The defense hasn't necessarily shut down the run. It's like Cook's got 8 for 45. But what they've done is when it's 3rd and 3, I mean, they're getting off the field. They're getting stops. And 1 for 6, that's it.
And it goes with Pollard. Val has the first down with a yard to spare.
That's the second time today Dak Prescott has gone through 4 or 5 guys and keeps the feet calm and just sends it out to the side. Everyone's looking at where your eyes are, and by the time you get through in zone, there's a wide open area and you get big yards.
Picks up another 10. Pollard with 57 yards on 10 rushes and 4 catches for 44 and a score. Dak has hit his last 8 passes. And look at Harrison Smith come up and smell that one.
Well, we just talked about full field progressions. Look left. Look at the feet, too. He's using, and boom, that's perfect. And by the end of it, this is why you score a touchdown. And that's a teaching tape, QB 101 for the footwork, reset. Now, granted, you need a lot of time to be able to do that, and they're getting that today. Offensive line playing great. But a lot of the reason is because they're having to play the run, Jim, because they're in phase, running it so well.
They flood the right side on 2nd and 11. Oh, and again, a negative play. Just the second one today is Patrick Peterson.
I really am impressed. Obviously, the huge game last week with the 2 interceptions, game-saving, but Patrick Peterson sneakily is having an incredible year. It's the most pass breakups since 2013 when he was an All-Pro.
3rd and 14. If they're going to change momentum, might as well start now.
Put 55 inside. Get a matchup you like. I don't know. It's against Zach Martin. Good luck.
Going deep. Pollard has the catch, and no one will touch him again. Touchdown, Dallas.
He's been exceptional here for a long time, especially the last few weeks. But the matchup of, I really thought, Martin holding up inside. Watch that right there. This matchup is a big boy matchup. That's Smith. And for you to stand in and wait on that route by Pollard, who basically went up like he's going to run a choice route and then ends up wheeling, that takes a long time, Jim. And you've got one-on-one with their best pass rusher and holds up. Wow, that's exceptional all the way around.
He's over 100 yards from scrimmage again with a total now of 65 yards. That was 68 yards to go with his 30-yarder earlier. In both touchdown catches, he was never touched. And down their longest play from scrimmage this year, 68 yards. And it's the longest play of Pollard's career from scrimmage as he outraised Hicks. In fact, no one got a hand on him. It's the longest pass play, for that matter, for Dak this year, which had been only 35 yards as the longest pass play before that one goes on 3rd and 14
you see
for
why
68.
Everyone's been clamoring for him to be out there at some special player.
Tracy, down to you.
Jim, in terms of protecting Kirk Cousins better, I spoke with head coach Kevin O'Connell coming out of the locker room, and he said we just need to do a better job. But certainly losing their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, to a concussion earlier is definitely hurting them. But also they need to do a better job of accounting for Micah Parsons. But as O'Connell said, they've been in this position before. He mentioned it in the locker room, but he knows they have a lot of work to do. One other note, cornerback Kelvin Joseph for the Cowboys. He is questionable with an illness right now.
Thank you, Trace. First down, first snap of the second half for Minnesota. And look at this. More the same as this time DeMarcus Lawrence gets into the act.
And Jim, Tracy, you just said it, and O'Connell knows it. But the problem is you shouldn't have your left tackle who came in, the backup, go against Lawrence. One-on-one, he should have had help, actually. So he was trying to help him. That's not on coach Wes Phillips or O'Connell here. But look at that swim move. I tell you, we did the Lions game, and Lawrence made a couple of unbelievable plays. He caused the fumble down there. He's a real, I mean, this defensive line is just dominant.
But Lawrence and Armstrong, then you factor in Parsons. 4 sacks for Dallas today, 2nd and 17. Cook, flag. The whistle ends that one. We'll check the marker. I go back to the end of the first Tony, when Minnesota had the football and started calling timeouts and ended up setting up, we've said, worst case scenario, Cowboys could get points here and points to start the third quarter. And that precisely played out.
You're exactly right. And a big part of that was that check down that Kirk
Pass
Cousins
interference.
didn't make
Offense
him take
number
a timeout.
87. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Didn't get an extra 10 seconds off the clock just for the play itself. Okay, you'll get that. They have to use a timeout as well, as you see the penalty. Just blocking too early on a screen. But you're right. These things just have a way of snowballing, Jim, and you don't have much room for error when your offensive line, your best guy's out.
It snowballed to the effect of 20 points by the Cowboys over an 8-minute span between the second and start of the third.
Well, last week Minnesota showed everyone they're for real. I think everyone's going to start to think back if this continues.
2nd and 26. Hockenson with the catch. And it'll be 3rd and about 19 to go.
Watch the top of your screen. Sam Williams, the second rounder.
Boy, Sam Williams just driving back Brian O'Neill toward the quarterback. Wow. This Williams kid is impressive. Their 2nd-round pick out of Ole Miss. 3rd and 19. Oh, my goodness. Oh, take that, says Dante Fowler.
Well, they're just taking turns right now. Right guard Ingram, who's actually given up a ton. Watch 67 right here. Just oversets and Fowler takes advantage, but Ingram, who's their rookie this year, has given up the most pressures in the NFL at 37, giving up 7 sacks. That'll move up to 8 now.
Gives Dallas 40 sacks as a team on the season. And the Vikings have 88 yards of offense. That's all.
Now they're down so much. These guys, those are built to run pretty good, right? These guards, and they're not able to do that today down so much.
Turpin going to the sideline and bounced out.
Pretty good job there by 42.
That was DePaula, the longs for touchdowns. Both to Tony Pollard, who becomes the first running back in Dallas history with 2 receptions that went for touchdowns of 30 yards and beyond in the same game. And Elliott chugs ahead for another 4 or 5.
Yeah, everything going Cowboys' way, and a lot of that is because you can, keep a team off balance when you run it this much, Jim. And you got 27 rushes, 20 passes, and you're efficient. And Minnesota's had timely turnovers this year. That's how they've gotten back. It's like right now they would all of a sudden get a turnover to help them. They've had the 2nd most this year, and they got none today. Dallas, one of the most penalized teams in the league. Very few today.
Yeah, the 2nd in the league in turnover margin, talking about Minnesota, but nothing today to speak of as Hicks. Makes the tackle this time. And again, 1 takeaway in every game for the Vikings, at least 1. And not even close in this one. Dak at 90%, Tony. Yeah. 18 out of 20. 216 and 2 touchdowns.
I mean, it's a real need your quarterback to step up, and he has. Kellen Moore calling a perfect game also. He's going to be a head coach next year. They're going to lose both these coordinators. Dan Quinn is gone. He's too good. I think Kellen Moore has a really high percentage chance as well.
3rd and 5. Uh-oh. Open. Oh, it's Noah Brown. Ball is out. He didn't take it to the ground. They're going to give him the catch, it looks like. This might get scrutinized. Goes for 35 yards. Noah Brown to the 1.
Well, this is a catch. The ball comes out. But this is we call it a hitch and go.
Well, he made a football move.
That's a catch.
That's a catch.
I've seen this before.
Yeah, that's a
catch.
football move.
Right down by that end zone. I've seen them call it not a catch in a big game in a playoff game once.
It's already challenged.
You have to try, though, right?
You have to.
I mean, it's the right call. I think, even though I don't think you're going to win it. But a hitch and go, Noah Brown, and who are they attacking? Booth, over and over. You see how important it is, to have a second guy that's serviceable. He's had Booth Jr. having a really rough game today, Jim.
Booth Jr. hoping there's a Booth review. And I'm not talking about his highlight reel on that last catch. They might be waiting for New York to give him a little word and say, put that back in your pocket. Save you timeout.
Minnesota's challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. That play is under review.
Take a look. He gets a little overreactive. You see he just doesn't change directions as quick as he should have.
I've looked at it, and the catch has been held up. Confirmed on the field. 1st and goal, and Zeke is going to be the running back. In all likelihood, getting a chance for a second touchdown. day for him.
And you see Brown attacking. This is why it's a matchup game. But we talk about Booth Jr. You got to remember, Dantzler's out. Evans is out with concussion. So Booth's not, he's not even doing that all year. They will be better there, Viking fans.
They fake to Zeke, and they go up top. And thrown in the direction of Dalton Schultz.
And that would make me feel better, right? Because it's like if one guy is really getting picked on, and he'll improve and be better, but he's like the third guy on that side who's playing, and it's like that really affects the game. It's a matchup game. Now, we shouldn't leave him one-on-one consistently.
Yeah.
But you got to because they're running the ball so good.
That was just the third incompletion all day for Prescott. Second and goal.
That's when you just run.
Here's Zeke, spins around, stays up top, on his feet, and scores.
That first down play was just Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott. I've been there. You go over the side, like, no, let's throw it. It'll be wide open. You're like, well, we can just run it 3 times. I know, but I have to pretend like I don't want the touchdown for myself.
Okay. I didn't know you guys talked like that. 4 touchdowns by the Cowboys, and all by the running backs. 2 for Elliott, 2 for Pollard, and the onside. 37-3. Never did you see this one coming like this.
No.
Noah Brown sets up the touchdown run. Kellen Moore, both of whom interviewed for the head coaching job that went to O'Connell. They were 2 of the finalists.
Well, listen, I like O'Connell. They did a good job with that decision, right?
Okay, like I said, everybody has to go through one of these or several of these. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Wanwo is hit at the 22. I want to tell you that we've got a huge helping of college football coming up on Thanksgiving weekend, starting Friday at noon Eastern. Utah State faces Boise State, followed by Arkansas taking on Missouri. But Saturday, 3:30, the SEC on CBS has the next chapter of the Iron Bowl when Auburn meets 8th-ranked Alabama. It all begins with the drive to Atlanta. College football today. That's this week on CBS. They'll run it. Cook. His 9th carry. And he has 49 yards on the 9 carries. Dan Quinn, when we visited with the coach, the coordinator, before the game here in the week, he was talking about his team kind of held a little meeting on Monday, and they were going to straighten out some things that needed to be straightened out.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing is we watch Cousins drop and pressure again.
Got away from him this time, and flag flies as the pass is complete to Munt, the backup tight end.
Like that left side's just being an open door coming right now, Brandel. And that's the thing, the 2 matchups that really hurt today.
Holding. Defense number 27. Penalties decline. Result of the play is a first down.
But back to Dan Quinn, who's, since he came here, has just really morphed this defense incredibly. I mean, he's exotic but simple. So it's like the guys all know their responsibilities, but he runs a ton of stunts, Jim. Like, you look at this, the movement he creates makes it so you're not just going one-on-one. It's like somebody you're blocking is coming from somewhere else at time. They double up like the next closest team in the league on that stuff.
As Dalvin goes for the first down, gain of 11.
And this is what happened, though. That run right there is a classic example. Today, they've done a really good job. But teams then said, if you're going to move all that, we're going to run on the edge quickly. And if they do that, they get a lot of yards, and they weren't doing that early in the year, so they need to shore that up. But
there's a little discussion going on, maybe some taunting, and there is a flag after that 11-yard run by Cook.
But he's really utilized Parsons as well as any coordinator could, right? Moving around, understanding. Remember, he wasn't here to rush the passer. Someone has to see that in you a little bit. He's like pretty good, but they didn't sprinkle him in.
Play was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense. Number 4, taunting.
He had something to say to one of the Cowboy assistants.
Yeah.
And that finger point.
Well, it looked like the Cowboy assistant might have actually been the one trying to provoke there. Couldn't tell who it was behind there, but I tell you, I don't like that call unless he said something, not nice, obviously. He must have, so.
First down. They come after him again.
Oh, Jim.
Curse.
This is what we talk about. Dan Quinn moving everyone around. And then the ability to timely. They're pressuring a lot this year. Watch right here. He's supposed to be covering someone, and he actually has to cover the tight end. As soon as the tight end blocks, it's a hug rush. He wasn't supposed to. That's the instincts you want.
2nd and 20. And almost stolen away by Diggs.
And that was really close. This guy catches the ball, incredibly well. Used to be a wide receiver, went obviously to college at Bama, but he's got the most interceptions. Start of last year, 14. These things are all caused by people being around you, though, as well. By the way, Diggs is playing, I think, the best stretch of his career. People talk about interceptions, Jim, but in his last 4 games, coming into today, he's only given up 7 catches allowed, only 12 targets coming in today, and today he's only probably given up 1 catch. I mean, it's unbelievable how good he's playing.
Diggs' brother, of course, played here for 5 years and caught the Minneapolis Miracle. And Trayvon was here in the stadium watching the game. What else can go wrong?
Nothing. It covered it all. If you're a Cowboy fan, this is really making you feel your chances. I knew the Cowboys were for real because they can play big boy ball, right? They can impose their will in the defensive line against the pass, which this league has really become in a lot of ways. And then they can run the football, and you're seeing that. Dak gets healthy. They're going to be in the playoffs, depending on what level. Who knows, because Philly's really good right in that division. But Minnesota, we really wanted to see them today, see if they could stand up to that kind of pressure.
Back at the 5, he throws it. And Hockenson brought down by Diggs at the 25, and now the punt. Just 112 yards of offense for Minnesota. Cowboys at 365.
Well, we already said it. Pollard has more yards than Minnesota by a lot. I think you're going to see Pollard continue to get a lot of touches.
He'd ever had as far as carries before last week was, 14, and last week he carried it 22 times for 115. Cowboys are there to pick it up. They're there where they need to be, and there's a flag. A little helmet-to-helmet possible here. It's Turpin trying to field that one. Contact with Goodwin.
I think he can handle that heavy load, just like you, Jim. I gave you the ball out. Yeah. I think he's got the ability, right, to get that ball a lot because he's stronger, tougher than you think. Talking about Pollard, and like that, that many touches makes it harder. But you use 2 guys. Watch this.
Ooh, there it is.
Ball goes out of bounds right there. I don't think there's a penalty. Right?
Unnecessary roughness. Kicking team. 29. 15-yard penalty for the red spot.
Do you think that was a penalty?
I didn't see it. I don't think so. I think that was an unnecessary call. Bland had the recovery for the Cowboys. We know this. The curse of the Cowboys has been yet another curse for the Vikings today. 37-3, Dallas. Minneapolis. As the Cowboys have the football back. Still 6 minutes to go in quarter number 3. The NFC East, by the way, today, Tony, the Giants lost. Philly almost lost, winning by 1 at Indianapolis, and Washington won. So again,
it is a strange year.
Everybody in the division over 500, and Pollard carries it. The Cowboys, well, not even, let's strike the word if. Dallas is going to be on its way to 7-3. It'll be the same record as the New York Giants. But since they've already beaten the Giants head-to-head, you look at what's going on here as far as these beasts of the East. The Dallas Cowboys will actually have, because of the tiebreaker right now, the 2nd position in the division. Look at the 21-6 outside the division. But of course, you got Cowboys and Giants coming up on Thanksgiving down in Big D.
Yeah, these are huge games now. I mean, what's really kind of shown itself this year, Jim, is these great teams that we keep saying, the Bills or whoever during that time of the year that's dominating, right? Buffalo early. Now all of a sudden people are like, well, Chiefs, okay. Chargers are supposed to be good. The Broncos are. What's happened now is we got an idea of who's good, but the injuries have affected some of these great teams dramatically. When Minnesota won that game, they did an awesome job coming back, but even talking to Kirk Cousins, he says, well, they were decimated, in the secondary with injuries. Well, if Minnesota loses this game today, you think they're not in the class with Dallas losing at home like this, but the truth is 1 or 2 guys, your best left tackle and corners out. I mean, that's huge, Jim, and it affects the game dramatically.
Yeah, it changes. Like I said, Kirk was magnanimous about it when we talked to him this week. There's a 3rd down stick by Patrick Peterson to end that series for Dallas, 3 and out.
The old vet system is a zone-based defense, and he's
how about this tackle?
His eyes on, uses it instincts, and that's the one thing, right? He played a ton of man, could run all over, and now doesn't have to quite do that, and you're seeing him really take off.
That's the first possession that the Cowboys have had today that they did not score.
Oh, wow.
How about that? Anger. They might have had to summon him back from the locker room and say, hey, we actually do have some work for you today. And the return ends. Oh, Rager, no, with a ball on the ground. I believe Minnesota was able to get it. Yep, indeed.
Timely turnovers, not going Minnesota's way, and that's why. If you get touched right here at all, no.
It's Theo Jackson who recovered it.
That's a fumble, and then he recovers it.
There he is. Made the recovery. CBS Sports embraces authentic stories. Share yours at #MyNativeStory.
That's where you get the Cowboys on that edge, Jim. Let their movement inside and go right toward that tight end side.
That's the third first down for the Vikings in this quarter. And Cook, 11 carries, 72 yards.
That would normally be a really good running day through 2.5, almost 3 quarters, but not today.
That's Hawkinson. And to the 39 and another first down.
By the way, we haven't mentioned 33 Clark, their 5th-round pick. I like him. Okay, he's only been up for a couple games, but he's already kind of a leader in that locker room. I think they got a little bit of a gem here. He had neck surgery after the combine.
5th round out of LSU, and that was Anthony Brown who knocked that ball up into the air. What do you see about him you like?
Well, I mean, the first thing was this. He got to wear number 18 at LSU, which is a big deal. They only give that number to literally the leaders, right? And that's him. He's been that throughout his whole, everywhere he's been. Coaches, he does everything right. So players gravitate toward him. And I think he's got some speed. He's coming in now. Their packages are going up. He comes in here and he covers people, that are pretty good sometimes. He's got the tight end right here.
Here's a 2nd and 10. That goes through the hands of Madison. Well, I see a number 33 for the Cowboys, and I think of one guy, Tony Dorsett. Broke 199 yards for a touchdown.
Hands to the face.
Here.
Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
You've had a few today. Old school.
Those are just sitting in my head, waiting to be dusted off. Some of those old memories of my youth watching football.
Yeah, you're
mesmerized by it.
Roger Staubach.
Roger, my hero.
Wow, and then he brought him up.
Well, the Hail Mary.
You also threw in the immaculate.
Oh, who can forget that?
Reception.
Franco and
gone back in time well today, Jim. And right now, Minnesota wishes they could go back in time and start this game over.
There's Cousins on first down. Diving attempt incomplete. Well, we talked about the Hail Mary, so let's show it to you. The divisional game, 1975, Dallas at Minnesota at Metropolitan Stadium with less than a minute to play. Cowboys were trailing 14-10, and watch Roger launch it. Watch the catch on the hip.
It's not going to be caught. Oh, my.
How smooth was that? Drew Pearson with the 50-yard catch and score, and it got dubbed afterwards a Hail Mary. That's where the whole term came from. The game was on CBS, was broadcast by Gary Bender and Johnny Unitas.
Wow. That's cool. You just never know. Like in that last week, Minnesota's catch.
Here's Hawkinson. By the way, the coaches in that game, Tom Landry and Bud Grant.
Those guys any good?
Well, Bud Grant is 95 years old. Still comes to the office at the facilities at least once a week. We got to see his office this week. And he's not attending the game today. Remember, it's like 15 degrees outside this weekend. He went hunting instead.
95.
God bless him.
God bless him. That's a wonderful story. I tell you, I just love the history of this sport, and these men lay it on the line, and these coaches know so much. You have relationships for life, and that's why really the Cowboys have got one of the great coaching staffs. These guys play hard for them, Jim. Minnesota the same way. They're just having a rough day.
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
But a Bud Grant, Tom Landry, think about what they've done for these franchises. That's why they're just national and huge franchises and organizations and across the world.
That's why I mentioned 9 of the first 13 Super Bowls, the Vikings or the Cowboys were in the game.
I mean, that's like Vince Lombardi, what he did for Green Bay, right? It just shifts, the entire organization's future, regardless of the year in, year out stuff, right? But when you're going in to play against the program, and these two are.
3rd-15.
By the way, that's
false start. Offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty.
That one on O'Neal. They've got Cleveland out, the left guard.
This is a real huge thing because game Thursday night, Jim.
Against New England.
And that's the worst case. You don't want injuries when you have the shortest week. Not that you ever want them, but that's exactly how Minnesota.
And New England coming off an emotional win with a punt return of 84 yards for a touchdown with just 5 seconds to go to beat the Jets 10-3. Marcus Jones.
1 or 2 games a year they win on special teams, don't they?
They do. Belichick's background. 3rd and 20 and given another sack. How good looking is this play today by Dorrance Armstrong?
I think this is an unbelievable decision. You see the movement I talked about earlier, and then the effort and commitment to keep going. And, Armstrong, 5 or 6 ooh, that's big. 5 or 6 sacks last season, okay? He's already got 7 now this year. He's got 10 quarterback hits.
Well, this isn't good right here with the Cowboys having a game here in 4 days as well against the Giants.
I mean, that's like a quarterback, isn't it? And this is like there's a few guys. You saw what happened. Ooh, right there. Oh, yeah, that left ankle on the bottom there. That twisted. Hope he's okay. But this is like those handful of guys. Aaron Donald. You saw what happened to the Steelers, right? When Watt went out.
Completely blew up their season.
And then all of a sudden he comes back and now their defense plays well again. But I really think that this is that guy as well. And he can literally change your defense and make it good almost by himself. Dominant then when you get everything else together.
Vikings have to punt again. Right for the 6th time, coming off the Cowboys' 7th sack of the day. And fair caught by Turpin. Early headlines in the 1 o'clock window. As always, some bizarre things happen, including the Eagles winning 17-16. Hurts late touchdown wins it. And I just mentioned that Marcus Jones, the rookie out of the University of Houston, breaks it. The game's only touchdown with a handful of seconds to go. How about the Lions? They're going to be the only team in the NFC North that wins today. While the Bills, they give up a quick touchdown to the Browns, but then had control of it and go on to win that one. And we'll see them on Thursday. Of course, the Cowboys played Thursday night against Tennessee coming out of this division. So the Bears lost, the Packers lost.
Offense number 63, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
And then, of course, Minnesota's losing here, will lose. And you've got the Lions suddenly at 4-6, Tony. We're going to see them on Thursday.
Dan Campbell, we had them, remember? And
against Dallas.
And they lost that game. But I loved what I saw on tape with that team. And they're not there yet, what they're doing right now. But that's this coaching staff getting them to really play hard and, finish these games.
No
you got to believe.
It's only 11 players on the field.
Oh, there's only 11, Jim. Only 11.
Only 11?
Okay.
I thought that was the right number.
But that's where you have to start. You got to get the culture. What Kevin O'Connell brought here, McCarthy comes in. He hires incredible staff. Those decisions, they all matter for, the trajectory of everything. And disregard this game. It's going to be painful and everything, but you got a short week. You get to come right back. That's a great thing. Players love that. They don't want to sit and, have this bad taste in their mouth.
Jason Peters, by the way.
The play clock should read 15 seconds.
Jason Peters has come in at left tackle for Dallas. When we get into the 4th quarter, you're going to start to wonder, do we see Cooper Rush? Do we see some guys take some starters out because you have that quick turnaround? Both sides. There's Gallup. And he picks up 20. They, after the penalty and all, that probably will run it down to close out the quarter.
Yep.
Catch number 3 of the game for Gallup for 41 yards.
Yep. Dak with a perfectly thrown ball. Seeing that connection pick up each week, right? Coming off the ACL last year, Gallup, it always takes time to come back, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, here he comes. Godwin the same way in Tampa.
Tony, that's going to be the end of the quarter. There's nothing I want more than you to take us. Gorgeous sight, inside and out. We start the fourth. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, down in the truck. Our director, Mike Arnold. Producers, Jim Rickoff and Ryan Galvin, as Pollard produces another big play. Let's look at the NFC playoff picture. We're going to go ahead and put results up for a loss in the Vikings column and the win for the Cowboys. What it currently looks like, Tone.
This is going to be interesting because who's coming out of the NFC, right? If Philadelphia had won last week, you'd be like, boom. But then it's like, and they had a close game today. Well, it's football. 9-1's incredible. Minnesota's rolling. Tampa's like, oh, they're not very. Dallas looks exceptional all of a sudden. It just goes back and forth. Everyone thinks San Francisco is going to have something to say, just like last year. Do you remember? They came all of a sudden storming back 7-2 to finish the year.
Look at them now with McCaffrey, and they got Elijah Mitchell back.
You never know about those Lions starting to get hot.
The problem is you've got that whole NFC East over 500 as Pollard's going to come out. 15 carries, 80 yards. 6 catches, 109 yards. Yeah, the Lions at 4-6, but you got the Commanders.
They've gotten hot
at 6-5.
They're starting to play. I mean, a lot of it is injuries, starting to learn your team. Obviously, the quarterback shift. 4-1 now.
Heineke. Yep. 2nd and 9. Davis comes into the game at running back. Nice little move, picks up a first down, and we're going to hand it off to Tracy.
Jim, the Cowboys, the blue tent, they are calling it a left knee injury, questionable to return. But at this point, with the game being on Thursday, wouldn't be surprised if they hold him out the rest of this game.
I agree. I think that's a good point, Trace. You wouldn't play him, would you, Jim?
No, not at all. I would think this might be the last series, in fact, for Prescott as well. As they've already brought in the third running back, Malik Davis.
You already
caught
know
that last ball.
Rush isn't going to be too big for him. He won here last year.
That's right. They marked him short of the first, so 3rd and inches to go. Timeout called by the Cowboys. Remind you again, Thursday at 12:30 Eastern, the NFL on CBS serving up a little Thanksgiving football feast. The Bills take on the Lions, starting with an appetizer of the NFL today, and then next Sunday a full slate of games. The highlight: Cincinnati at Tennessee. Beginning once again at noon Eastern with the NFL today. Big holiday week coming up for the NFL on CBS. We wish all of you a happy and joyous and glorious Thanksgiving holiday, and we look forward to spending some time with all of you on Thanksgiving Thursday. We're so excited for Thursday, which will be John Madden Thanksgiving.
The most valuable player of the game, the turkey leg.
He dug right into it. That's the way you're supposed to.
I think this is one of the great holidays that we have.
You get the turkey leg. You get the whole turkey. You get the whole bird.
Of course, we lost the coach, the legend, the day after Christmas last year, and the league has announced that the Thanksgiving Day games now will be named in honor of John Madden, the John Madden Thanksgiving celebration. And we'll have the first one. Here's the 3rd and foot to go. And Davis has the first. Rookie from Florida, undrafted.
That was incredible and well-deserved. The great John Madden. I mean, he's one of the rare guys. I've been around John. My first start in the National Football League, I went on the road for Sunday Night Football, and I got to do a production meeting where people come and meet with us, right? And I walk in, and there's John Madden sitting there. Al Michaels right with them, right? And I'm like, it was almost like you were nervous, like it was a game. This giant, this figure, I mean, this guy, it was just like such a cool moment, special, and he had that effect on so many people, you know, that he ever came in contact with. And you know, the people in the NFL, they love this guy, and they all went to him. I mean, coaches and players asked him for advice, and I'm talking legendary coaches, and he had unbelievable answers, and he was a resource, one of the great, true NFL people of all time.
One of the all-time great football guys who coached so briefly, really, you think about it. And his win percentage was just incredible. But the mark he left as a broadcaster, working in fact from '79 through '93 on CBS with the legendary Pat Summerall. Here's the 2nd and 11.
You know, when I did that production meeting with him, I was just a kid who was very naive. Al and John got me to talk about my girlfriend's situation at the time and how she had broken up with me that week.
Okay.
And they start talking about it on air and everything.
And you never had any idea that was anything?
No, they're like sitting there, and I'm just talking like to a couple of buddies that telling the story. So you got a girl. And by the end of it, it did take me right to my wife, Candace Romo, at the end, which was perfect. So John Well done. I don't know, I got back to my wife, but I make sure she's happy when I get home.
You are a lucky man.
I am.
Mr. Romo.
So what do you think here, Jim? Is this, when you come off this in your Dallas, you were able to rectify it last week?
I think you've put pretty much taken the stench of the game from last week in Green Bay out of the equation. And now you're looking to put 40 on Minnesota right here with a Maher field goal attempt.
This is probably the most, like, let's say, health, right? Dak Prescott has got enough games under his belt to be back. And now all of a sudden you're seeing what they can do.
Sure wish I had Maher on my fantasy team. This from 50. He's got one from 60, from 53, from 50 now, as well as a chippy from 27. 4 for 4 on the game. And Dallas 40, Minnesota 3. 10 minutes to go in Minneapolis. Field goal. Not bad. And another one, too.
I did have that once. It was just in Madden, because that's video game numbers, and they've all been perfect.
In fact, I just get the note from Ethan Cooperson over here. He's the first Cowboy ever to have 3 field goals from 50 and beyond in one game. You think of all the great ones through the years, whether it's Frank Clark or Tony Fritsch or Raphael Septien. I mean, you could go on through all kinds of names here. That's the first time ever.
This has been it's almost like one of those days, as you see a new quarterback come in. Cousins is down. Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins comes in.
But to your point about, Maher, get to Mullins in a sec, but this has been a perfect game for the Cubs. Like, everything's going their way.
Yeah, all
what
three
could
bases
go your way, it's like everything has, and those kicks are the same way as Mullins getting some time.
Mullins, who they were able to trade for, they saw him in the preseason. He was on the Vegas roster, and they were impressed, made a trade for him. Watched him in practice on Friday. He can throw it. There you go. As, for an example, that pass to Rager.
Micah Parsons is back in, Jim.
Surprised?
I am. Yes, I am. But you also have to understand, players have a way. Getting a wide 9, go against the guy and get a sack. That's why you come in.
Parsons was in on him. Gets it off to Madison. And Madison has Curse on him. Tackles him twice, actually.
Well, this last week, right, there was a lot of talk coming out of Dallas about this sort of a thing, right? Now, right now, you're up by so much. These guys getting sacks, I mean, that's what they want, right? But you got to earn the right to go get a sack. You got to stop the run. You got to get big leads or whatever. You got to put them in third and, long situations. Well, this is a third and long situation with the score. You know they're not going to run the ball, so you can just attack and try and go get sacks, and you're going to unleash these guys.
2nd and 3. Here they come again. That ball, a wobbler as there was contact. Mullins, who started his career with San Francisco, got some starts for the 49ers, and then a cup of coffee with the Eagles, the Browns. I mentioned the Raiders, the Vikings, and his 5th year out of Southern Mississippi. And he was watching as intently as I would suspect he was from the sideline, and watching Dallas with this open policy to the quarterback. It was probably one of those things, you sure you want me to go in, coach? Maybe another day. 3rd and 3.
And by the way, remember when we showed earlier? After this play, I'll tell you one.
Parsons.
Ooh, he almost got a sack. Another quarterback hit on the wrister, but this is almost like you get paid sometimes, right? It shouldn't be this way, but that's why guys want to play at this point. It's like you want to break the sack record, or you want to, a backup gets to go in there and go. Look at how fast he gets out. He's gonna up over there every time in that backup tackle. You got no chance one-on-one. And by the way, Mullins being in the game should end the streak we showed earlier of Kirk Cousins.
A touchdown.
39
consecutive
39 in a row. That'll end, and he had the record, right?
Well, he had the active mark, yes.
Active for the play.
Yeah, Drew Brees has the all-time record.
Way up there.
There's the punt, and it's caught by number 9. You're proud of the way Turpin's repping the 9, huh? We're a 3-3 stretch in the first quarter. Cowboys added a touchdown to lead 10-3 after 1. That will make it now 15-0 since the start of 21 when leading after the first quarter, or 15-0 when leading at halftime. Who said starts aren't important, it's how you finish. So we got Cooper Rush at the quarterback. They got his first start last year, Cooper did, on Halloween night. And and had quite a game, leading the Cowboys to victory. And there are the numbers. Well, Dak Prescott, 22 of 25. That sound familiar to you, Tony? These numbers of 22 for 25?
I don't know.
Bill Sims, the Super Bowl.
It does sound familiar.
Yeah. 276. Yeah, 276. That's his most passing yards in a game this season for Dak. It's a completion.
Yeah, you saw
Ferguson.
The numbers for Dak there, that'll be the second best completion percentage of his career. So that's going to be a good thing, right? If you're opening up today and you're saying you're going to complete 88% of your balls and rush the ball really well, I think you're going to have a good chance to win.
How about Cooper Rush? You touched on it earlier, but to come in week 2 as the starter after Dak gets hurt with the broken thumb week 1, lost to Tampa. The doom and gloom that was out there, and he settles things down, and they go 4-1 with him as a starter.
Well, you know, I talked to you that week going into, because we had his
week 2 game against Cincy.
First start.
Yep.
And this year, I was really impressed when I put the tape on from the Minnesota game last year.
You said he's going to play well.
I said they're going to be okay. And I said, I think he actually, you know, I didn't think they were going to have this huge fall off a cliff thing that happened before, you know, when Dak got hurt. And Cooper's just better than people realize. He gets the ball out quickly. He looks people off. He knows the offense at a very high level. He gets to the right play. He makes these checks, you know, that are hard to get to sometimes. And he does it, you know, just natural and, you know, in phase. And it makes everything kind of flow. And the game gets simple. And it helped the team. They started running the ball. And things just kind of started to be boom. And now today looked like one of those games, right? But Dak was out there. And obviously we know Dak's talent level and everything. And I think Cooper is going to get a big contract after this year. And we'll see. Does some team believe he is starting quarterback worthy? I do.
Well,
I absolutely think
he's going to get a big contract to starter somewhere, or a big contract to stay here in Dallas as a backup.
There's
a difference.
One or the other. But the difference is up to him, right?
Yep.
And then what are the opportunities and where are you going? And he's already proven, though. I mean, you don't fake your way into doing what he did. He was extremely efficient, accurate. He threw under duress. That was the biggest thing. Way better than 90% of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, he's limited in certain areas, but when people are around him, like right there, when people are around him, he throws as if they're not around him. And you don't see that very often, and that's one of his best traits, and that's why he stood in and made throws, and it looked very simple, no big deal. Well, it is when you do that consistently.
Completes that last pass to Hendershot.
Like all things, you want, you know, more mobility, ability to move, run out. But he did. If they go on and win, let's pretend they won the Super Bowl this year, Dallas. You know, deserves as much credit as anybody who won't be in that game.
That would be Cooper. We're not talking Amari here. Here's the pass to Davis. Got a first down. We've got an update, a game that went to overtime.
35 yards to Devontae Adams going across the field to get the easy catch for the touchdown. Las Vegas Raiders 22, Denver 16, and back to you guys in Minnesota.
All right, so Josh McDaniels able to win at Denver, team he coached years ago.
You know how I think about Josh McDaniels. They've had a rough stretch, and they could have won. Remember the first 3 games of the year or 4 where they could have won each one by the end. At the end of it, you got to make a play like that.
There's a completion.
See that? That's where Rush is better than you think, right?
Tolbert.
Quick timing, ball accurate, boom, boom.
You know, you look at Tolbert as another option here. He's a rookie out of South Alabama. There's been so much talk about Odell Beckham Jr. and what's he going to do. Now the latest, of course, is he's kind of boiled it down to either signing with the Cowboys or the Giants. He wants years on a contract, and he's going to wait until after the Giants and Cowboys play, it looks like, on Thursday to make his decision by next weekend.
I'm surprised. I just haven't seen this much in the NFL where teams talk openly about bringing in a guy.
And wanting him. I mean, like desiring him.
They're almost recruiting him now because OBJ has done this. A couple of guys have. Von Miller also. Von didn't want it, but he also tells you, like, well, you feel like this team really wants you, right? And when he went to the Rams, he felt wanted, and he wanted to win a Super Bowl like everybody does. But you have to make him feel wanted, and part of that is communicating through the media nowadays, on Twitter, like whatever it is, and they come out there and they do that. But that was never a part of the league before, because you were like, now you're saying you got to replace one of the guys you have in your team.
Right.
Work with
he's saying
every
to Michael
day.
Gallup, you know, who's got the like, 2 spot right now. He's also coming back from an ACL. 3rd and 3. Ball up in the air and incomplete. Let's go down to Trace.
Well, Jim, just following up on that, Jerry Jones said right before the game his understanding is OBJ will visit both teams after their Thanksgiving game. And the big question really is, where is he in terms of recovery from that second torn ACL in 16 months? And then, of course, as you guys mentioned, what kind of contract someone can give him. But, Jim, also talking to Mike McCarthy, talking to Dak Prescott, they would love to see OBJ, the star, on their helmet.
Okay, well, they did. They told us that in our meetings with them this week. It's a good point you made, too, Tony, though. What are you saying to the other guys that are in the wide receiver room?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously, it's just a new way to recruit. And I think the big thing is, like, what OBJ is doing. You see this punt it perfectly.
Down to the 2-yard line.
I'll finish this after a JB, New York.
Ryan Anger with a 53-yard punt. Yep, JB and Phil with another update from the studio.
What a way to cap a 93-yard drive, Phil.
Sure is. Samaje Perine, 6-yard touchdown catch by him. It's his third touchdown catch of the day.
Okay, so the Bengals opening up the 11-point lead against Pittsburgh. Of course, the Steelers beat them in overtime week 1 down in Cincinnati. All right, 3:19 to go. You're at the 2-yard line. You're Nick Mullins.
And that's what you want to do, is try and draw them offside. Everybody on offense, you only lose a foot if you get a false start.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty. It's 1st and 5.
One of the first days of training camp right there. Don't be that guy.
Gallimore was that guy that time.
They're going to get 5 yards. We only get a foot. Everyone tries to do it.
By the way, both of these teams will be heading into the start of the holidays, able to spend a lot of time at home. Mullins a little sloppy on the center snap exchange, and that led to a slow developing play and a loss behind the line. Wanwu tackled down by Sam Williams. Yeah, they got the Cowboys. They're going to head home for 3 consecutive home tilts, including the Giants on Thanksgiving afternoon, right behind our game. And then the following week, Indianapolis, and then Houston, before traveling to Jacksonville and then Philadelphia on Christmas Eve. Who knows? That could be for the division.
Yeah, well, this was a huge game, right? When you look at all the records, Cowboys will be favored all but one game probably there.
There's a pass getting out to Osborne for a first. Meanwhile, Minnesota, with this one today, including this one today, a 5 out of 6 game stretch at home. That's unusual.
It is. But that's also normally a good thing. Today, obviously not.
Yeah, they had not lost at home all season long before today. So Wanwu. Oh, look at that tackle. That was impressive. Gallimore tossing him down to the turf to take us to the 2-minute warning. You up for another take to the break? Tone?
You want me to take it to the break? Well, Minnesota having only
lost by a home team with a record of 8-1. It's 41 points. Okay. I got one I think that's every bit as good as this. As you see Mullins play action bootleg and complete it. Nice looking play right there. Complete to Naylor. This is going to be, if they don't give up any points here, the largest road win, Tony, in Dallas Cowboys history.
Wow.
How about that? The largest margin. Is that right, Ethan Cooperson?
Yes, it is.
Largest margin in a road win in Cowboy history.
And it's against an 8-1 team, not a 1-8 team.
Right.
That's impressive. It shows you if the Dallas Cowboys can slow down a team's ability to run, which I think they got away from a little early. Minnesota, you know, in the first half or first quarter, they had 7 rushes for like 40 yards and only then had like 4. So one team. I don't care what you think of them. They're 8-1. They beat the Bills on the road. They're an NFL team.
Wanwu is hit quickly by Cox, a yard short of the first. Yep.
If the Cowboys can slow the running game down on defense, their D-line, I mean, really, they are very good everywhere else. Like, there's no weaks. Like, there might be a guy here, but it's like scheme changes that. Dan Quinn protects it, or they don't really have a ton of weaknesses as much, and they do the one thing that no one wants to go against, right? As a quarterback, like the best quarterbacks, you want to throw the ball and win the game. Well, great. You're going against number 3, and they sack quarterback better than anyone.
Vikings, by the way, now will have for the season, a negative point differential at 8-2. You kind of brought that up earlier.
Exactly right.
How it was 35 coming in. This one's over. These two teams, who knows? They could meet again, folks. And the NFL, you never know, like how these things work out the second time around.
Vikings still haven't won a home game against the Cowboys since 2010.
Yep, the visiting team has won the last 5 matchups in this series. And there's the old NFC North coach, all those years in Green Bay, accustomed to coming to Minnesota. He comes in here with his Cowboys, and they dominate from start to finish.
They were prepared. Give him credit. He deserves it. Under a lot of pressure going into this year, Mike